Hello, everybody. It is that odd little time when you wait for people to come online, so I will wait. Welcome, welcome. Hello. Fantastic. Oh, looks like I have some. Wow. Now I feel like I'm speaking from outer space. Nice. Great. Can you hear me? Just show a thumbs up. Do you like this background? I'm speaking from the space. Happy Guruvar, Veena. Hello, Inu. Hello, Leela. Hello, Lynn. Wow. I'm going to keep this background if you don't mind, because it makes me feel like I'm speaking from the skies. All right. Looks nice. Good. Hello, Maya. Welcome to my galaxy. You see this? Galaxies, stars. Nice. You're all stars in your own way. So welcome to my galaxy. You have to tolerate my dad jokes like that. All right. So let us begin. I will start by singing the Guru Mantra as we usually do. So join your hands if you know the mantra. If you do not know, just close your eyes, just be in your heart. You're just gathering the collective energy. Inhale. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, welcome everybody. The best part about the topic that I have given for today's live is that I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to talk about. So, I only know that I was called upon to speak to you all about this subject, which I feel is very crucial. But I just wanted to come to you unprepared and allow spontaneity or recollection to just channel my way to you. So the topic today is Yogi, a poet or a philosopher. The reason why I chose this topic is because I see a lot of binary in today's modern yoga spiritual world. Binary in the sense, people look at yoga either as an intellectual tradition, and under that intellectual tradition, we have academics, scholars, or those who think they are scholars. And on the other hand, there are people who poo-poo the academic, intellectual tradition of yoga and instead choose to give importance to the mystical aspects of yoga. Like those who those who give importance to the mystical aspect of yoga, they I've heard them saying, no, philosophy is not important, philosophy is mere words, the real yoga is realization, and so on. I've also seen the academic side of it, where I have interacted with many intellectuals who will dissect every line of the scripture on basis of its grammar, on basis of logic, on basis of linguistics. They dissect and mince the scriptures to such a fine level that somewhere in that whole intellectual head scratching, the spiritual essence slips away. This binary is very new to the yogic tradition. I'm saying it again. This binary is very typically a colonial concept. And I will tell you why. Because if you look at the ancient yogis, or not even ancient yogis, even who existed 300, 400 years ago, we never see a complete division between an intellectual yogi and a yogi of a heart. And I can give you over a dozen of examples from the past and also from the recent contemporary period. Let me take somebody from the past. Let's take Adi Shankaracharya. If you see Adi Shankaracharya, he is regarded as one of the most intellectual logicians of the Hindu spiritual tradition. But if you see Shankaracharya's writings in the later part of his life, it is all mystical. It is full of heart. The poems that he has written, stotras as we would say, poems is not the right word, devotional compositions that he has written are remarkable. Remarkable. Another yogi, somebody I love very, very dearly, Sant Jnaneshwar, from the 13th century, late 1200s. On one end, he gives a 9,000 paragraph commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. 9,000. Imagine, Bhagavad Gita itself is 700 paragraphs, shlokas, and then he makes it into 9,000. But then he also composes devotional songs and poetries that are accessible to the simple, uneducated masses. How can these yogis, who are intellectuals, logicians, and also artists, poets, balance both of that? This is, my dear friends, yoga. Balancing your intellectual side and your artistic side is what I intend by saying the philosopher and the poet. A yogi, a person who has really understood yoga and lives and grows through yoga, will never suffer under this binary, will never be torn between the mind and the heart. A true yogi will meet where the mind and heart merge. There is never a fight in a real yogi's mind about if he or she is a philosopher or a poet, an intellectual or an artist. Never. The yogic tradition itself has never encouraged this binary. This binary comes in to a certain extent from the Cartesian duality that came up in the Western intellectual tradition in the 17th, 18th century. And somewhere through colonization, we have come to, even in today's contemporary world, this geek, this image of a geek. If you see the stereotypical geek, somebody like a computer hacker, glasses and, punching on the keyboard, nothing to do with arts or sports. These are stereotypes that are pushed down upon us. But in the yogic tradition, there are no stereotypes. Because yoga is all about merging the mind, the intellect, and the heart, the loving part of your personality. In fact, all the bhakti yogis, how much ever they say, come out of the intellectual tradition. If you ask the bhakti yogi, he will rationally analyze your argument and rationally prove his or her point. This is what I am trying to share with all of you, that if you are on the path of yoga, I don't care you are a yoga teacher or a yoga student, as far as you are a sincere practitioner of yoga, and if you find that there is a push-pull between your heart and your mind, take a step back and try to reflect, why is it that your energy is moving either to the mind or to the heart and not distributing itself equally to both? Now I will tell you what happens if your energy is not distributed between your mind and heart equally or evenly. If your energy, means your prana or whatever you want to say, your awareness, let's take it, your awareness, if your awareness is only focused on the mind, if you give precedence only to intellectual maturity, you will be in big trouble, because that intellect is going to be used by your ego to make you feel superior to everyone else. The us and them gap will increase. You will start looking down upon everybody, especially those who are near and dear to you. And I will tell you some sentences. It will go like this: oh, they don't even understand. Where is the society headed? All such statements will start coming to you, because you will start thinking of yourself as something different to normal people. This would be a big spiritual mistake. On the other hand, if your awareness is concentrated only on the heart, you will become so sensitive, so empathetic, so compassionate, that you will not know how to create boundaries between you and the other person. Unknowingly, you will allow people to take advantage of you. And when you come to know they have taken advantage of you, you will have an emotional crash, regret, guilt, resentment, and all that. This is where Bhagavad Gita says that yoga is a path of samatva. Samatva means equanimity. In fact, this is one of the definitions of yoga in, in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita says, Samatvam yoga uchyate. Means yoga is equanimity. Equanimity of what? Of mind. So, the reason to call my talk poet or a philosopher is I want to put across this point that a yogi is both. A yogi is an expert and effortless multitasker after a certain maturity, okay? Now, it will definitely happen that in the initial years, many years, we all feel a certain amount of division. Sometimes we are in the head, sometimes we are in the heart. When we are in the heart, we don't like it. When we are in the head, we don't like it. So, as you continue with your practice, a time will come when that distribution will be even. I remember even in Bible, Gospel of Matthew, chapter number 10, Jesus Christ has given instructions to his disciple. Gospel of Matthew, chapter 10. And one of the instructions that he has given is, and I love this and I quote this often, whenever possible, be a snake, and when needed, be a dove. What does Christ mean? Depending on context, you be a dove or a snake. Nobody is asking you to be giving all the time in this state of your spiritual evolution. Nobody is asking you to block everybody in this state of your spiritual evolution. It will take us some time to come to that state of balance where the mind will be a friend of the heart and the heart will be a friend of the mind. A true philosopher is always a poet, and a true poet has opened herself or himself to the mysteries of the world by philosophizing. If you really see intellectual people, and I can give you two examples. One is Einstein himself. If you read Einstein's thoughts, they are poetic. Carl Sagan, in my childhood we used to have this television serial called Cosmos. Carl Sagan, the famous astrophysicist, he is a very strongly intellectual person, but yet open to the mysteries of life. Aurobindo, very intellectual, but he wrote one of the longest poems in the world. There are so many examples, so many, both in the Western tradition and the Eastern tradition. So remember, and the point and the essence of my talk is very simple. Recognize, where are you headed? Are you headed too much in the mind, overthinking, overanalyzing, over-reflecting, that your heart has no chance? And when I say heart, I mean spontaneity, effortlessness, creativity, ease, softness, all this. And by mind, I mean analysis, reflection, critical thinking, all this. Find a beautiful balance between these two, and your life will definitely be balanced. You know how? You will know when to let go of, and you will know how and how much to hold. Once you know when to let go and when to hold, how much to let go and how much to hold, there is a beautiful semblance of balance in our life. You will laugh at jokes, but immediately in the next moment, if you have to use the sharpness of your intellect, you will be able to use it. You will write a 10,000 page analytical essay, but on the other hand, you will spontaneously compose a poem out of love. Try to find that balance. And once you find that balance in life, you will be ready and equipped to face the absurdity of life. Because life is absurd. You cannot live life completely from the intellectual point of view. Neither can you live life completely as a spontaneous, effortless poet. Somewhere we need a balance of both. And this is the main point of what I wanted to share with you today. As a yogi, as a yogic practitioner, try to find a beautiful balance between the philosophizing mindset and that beautiful, effortless poet in you. Okay? The more I talk about it, the more I will repeat myself. So what I would like to do now is, if you have any questions, you can ask, because looks like either my talk was very boring or very interesting, because I did not see any questions or comments pass by. So thank you, because I assume it was interesting. All right. So if you have any questions, please ask, because that's what life is all about. Any questions, anything to share, just type it, because I'm not going to invite you to share the screen. But hope the message is clear. Yoga is not only about the intellect. Yoga is not only about creativity. Yoga is a mix of both. It's a mix of both. And the more you understand that, the more you will stay human. Because what happens is, many times modern spirituality makes us feel that being spiritual means something amazing. No, please. This is something I tell most of my students, that you are not doing anybody a favor by being spiritual. Try to understand this. I'm saying it again. You are not doing anybody a favor by being a spiritual practitioner or a spiritual seeker. So drop that from your mind. Okay? Neither are you doing any favor on somebody else or yourself. It's like saying that water is doing us a big favor by flowing. No. It's water's nature to flow. Sun is doing us a big favor by shining. No. It is what the sun's nature to shine. Same way. Come down from the high horse that modern spirituality brings up in, and remember, if you are spiritual, just tell yourself that you are a normal person, because that spiritual ego is the most difficult thing to manage. Because it is really easy to get over some chips or some internet or social media, really. But to get out of, once you create a spiritual ego, it's very difficult to come out of it. We are unnecessarily giving us credit of doing something that we are born to do. Okay, so that's it. All right, great. One question. I was just passing time till I got a question. Are people who are very sensitive to the world around them more heart or the head? I would say, okay, now of course I am speaking in metaphors. Okay, these are metaphors. We are not discussing anatomical heart or the anatomical mind, okay, or brain. But metaphorically, generally we say that people who are sensitive, empathetic, compassionate are more in the heart area. And such people also suffer in a way. Both, if you are too much in the mind, you will suffer in one way. If you are too much in the heart, you will suffer in another way. So if you find yourself very sensitive and every little thing makes you cry and things like that, then just remember that you need to bring in your intellect somewhere by defining your priorities, channelizing your energies, or actually restraining your energies, defining boundaries, and there are many ways. Okay, but hope that answers your question. Highly sensitive healing. Yes, Chaitali, please go ahead. For me, the balance of mind and heart is important not only in yoga but also work, business. Absolutely, absolutely, Isabel. It is important everywhere. And it is not like if you develop a balance between mind and heart, it's only for your yoga. No, it will of course come handy in your work, your business, your relations, you as a parent. It will come into every role that you play. No? Yes, Chaitali, you have a question? So, sir, how to let the attention and energy equally distribute? First, recognize what is happening. The reason I came to all of you today is to make you aware that this is happening. Sometimes sensitive people will say, I was just born like this is my fate. No, you can distribute your energy between heart and mind beautifully. It just needs some training. Okay? Toy soldier, it's a skill. In simple terms, balancing heart and mind is a skill. So just like any skill requires training, this will also require training. Okay? Chaitali says, I feel numb these days in my head and heart both. Ask yourself why. And Chaitali, many people are feeling numb these days because there's so much happening in the world, and everywhere we have been exposed to such ambiguity and such anxiety that our mind and heart both just shut down. Okay? So, all this since last 1.5 years, we have Corona and the economic implications and the life implications. They are really very, very strong on our nervous system. And that's why if you're feeling numb, I would really suggest take a professional help. Go find some therapist or some mental health expert and just open up. Don't stay with yourself. Just open up, just approach and seek help. Don't be shy to approach a therapist, get counseling, get therapy. Do that, please. Okay? Yes, as Lynn Slack says, constant work. Yeah. How to get rid of unnecessary thoughts that constantly bother our mind? Well, Victor, that is yoga. That is the definition of dhyana. If you read Patanjali, that is exactly the definition of dhyana, to reduce thoughts and to direct the existing thoughts on one point. So, if you are already practicing yoga, just be on the path, things will happen. See, just like my t-shirt says, maybe it's actually mirroring, but just like my t-shirt says, we all have to be patient with ourselves. Rushing is not going to help. Okay? All right. Yes, I really think strengthening both is very important, as Helen says. Yurga says how to deal with very high, crazy spiritual people and keep good relations with them. First of all, you are not obligated to keep spiritual relation with anybody. Sometimes we need also to dictate or define boundaries. Okay, Yurga? So don't be under obligation to be with everybody. Okay, that is usually what happens with heart, people in the heart. They cannot define boundaries, so it's very difficult for them to understand when to say no or even to say no. Okay, so just if you still have to deal with people who are high crazy, as you say, then just understand things from their point of view, and if they are really intruding on your mind and your space, I would say just create distance or boundary. Okay, nothing wrong with it. Would you share one specific practice for coming more into the heart and to come more into the mind? To come into the heart, one beautiful practice I would suggest is start becoming aware of those little beautiful things around you. If you go for a walk, look at that flower on the side of the road. Look up, look at the birds flying. Those small little things. Appreciate the poetry of nature. When you start appreciating the poetry of nature, you will immediately come to your heart. And the same for people with the mind. You have to reduce the gear of the mind and you have to increase the gear of the heart. So basically we are doing the same things. So for people who are too much in the mind, appreciate small things in life, and people who are too much in the heart, I would suggest start defining boundaries. This is important. For people who are giving all the time and are exhausted by giving, start defining boundaries. How much is too much? This is a question you need to reflect on. How much is too much? Okay, Seema ji was asking some questions. Seema, can you write again? Maybe the question has gone up very high, or maybe I answered, I don't remember. But anyway, I will proceed. Seema, can you type it please again? Sorry. Thank you, sharing yoga. Seema, please write your question again. I missed it and looks like it is important. Okay, and Seema, I am not an acharya. Okay. There is a very specific meaning for acharya in the yogic spirituality. Okay. So, and I am not an acharya, I am just Prasad. Okay. So, but thank you, I understand you are calling me acharya, but I will say that I am not an acharya. Okay. I am just a normal person with a beard. How might we connect mind-oriented institutions like schools to the heart? Yeah, it has to happen from the system level. Isabel, we have to do it from the level of the system. If the school system doesn't do it, then teach the kids to balance the heart and the mind at home. Okay? If the school doesn't do something, then teach the kids in your home. It's possible. Okay, Seema, I have your question. About so much emphasis on functional anatomy these days, how to teach more from the heart? Wow, Seema ji, functional anatomy is heart. Try to understand me. Purely muscles and bones, that medical anatomy is mind. And body, our body cannot be intellectually figured out. Our body is God's poetry. I'm saying it again. Our body is God's poetry. Ask any doctor. Ask any doctor. We are still discovering organs that we had no idea about. Do you know that? There are so many things in a human body that is still to be discovered. When you understand functional anatomy, you try to understand body in motion, and that itself is poetry. Medical anatomy, if I take the muscles of the arm, I can show you, look, this is how the muscle contracts, this is how the muscle elongates, that's it. But when I am teaching functional anatomy, I can show you in the movement. It's beautiful. Try to look at functional anatomy from that point of view. I believe functional anatomy is not at all mind, it is all heart. But again, depends on your teacher. If you find a purely head-scratching teacher who teaches you functional anatomy mentally, then it will be a mental functional anatomy for you. Sorry. So choose your teachers wisely. Okay? Achu, Yurga. Okay. So 2 more questions. Last few minutes. Yeah, now that I've spoken about it, I think it is an important topic. Yes, you're right. Yes, as Lynn says, movement, breath, feeling. Very good. Good point, Lynn. Lynn, you see there, LP Slack is mentioning movement, breath, feeling. That's absolutely right. When you move your body with feeling, feeling from the heart, not just move like this. This is the shape you make in asana. You know, usually how the asana is taught, this is the shape that we have to get in, and we get into the shape. So it is taught more like geometry and not poetry. But when you look at body from its functional anatomy point of view, you will come out of geometry and then you will become poetry. Okay? Yes, as Purnima says, asana practice, pranayama practice needs to have some amount of bhava. Bhava means the sense behind it. The feeling behind it. This is important. Otherwise yoga asana will just become a pursuit of getting into poses and getting out of poses. So, Namaste Prasad, hi, I admire your work and how you articulate your thoughts. Do you provide courses for teachers in the realm of mudras, yoga sutras, chakras? Yes, I do. There I have a YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel I have many over 30 hours of lectures on Yoga Sutra. It is all free. Please go and check it out. And I will keep posting about my courses whenever they are announced on social media. Suti says, can I say functional yoga can be meditation in motion? Yeah, sure. If you look at it that way, functional yoga. Yeah, but ideally we should not even call it functional yoga, I mean, it doesn't even make sense. It is just doing your yoga practice or asana practice actually with an inwardly attention, sense, not allowing your body to move into shapes that your body is not capable of. Just because somebody or your teacher is doing it doesn't mean you have to. Listening to your body, sensing into your capability, all that is that gentleness of the heart. Okay? Can the body be defined as a projection of the mind? Yes, it is projection of the mind. Okay? Not can, it is. I mean, I believe it is, even from the physiological point of view. If you look at the whole psycho-soma angle, nothing but we are just mentally printing out body every moment as we think. Okay, so yes, body is a projection of the mind. On boundaries, how to set them within ourselves, excluding setting boundaries from outside source, if that makes sense. Let me read it again. How to set them within ourselves. Oh, within ourselves, just same way you set them outside of yourself. Understand this. The other person is outside of you. But then there are many others inside of you too. Try to understand this. Right? Inside of your mind there are many personalities, each fighting each other. Somewhere when you can regulate outside person, physical person, you will also learn to regulate your inner person. Okay? Alright, so we'll take up a last question and then we'll finish this one. Alright, any last question? Anyone? 2 minutes to go. Yeah, 3 minutes actually. Anyone? If not, we will close. Other people are also a projection of our mind. It depends. It depends on, from a yoga philosophy point of view, depends which school of thought. Okay? But that question is a little complicated. It's not, I cannot just say yes. Okay? Okay, last one for now. Sure, last one. I have heard it said that people who are very overly sensitive have problems with sacral chakra and that chakra is too open. I don't know. Toy Soldier 12, I don't know. Okay, you may have heard it someplace, but I cannot definitely say things about things like this because I don't know. Okay, so thank you everybody for being with me and patiently listening. I enjoyed it a lot. Time to get out of my cosmos. Thank you. So join your hands, we will finish. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you. Bye.